The next few minutes we'll be discussing the procedure for a normal traffic pattern. Please review the 11248 and your local squadron standards for more information. Here we see a normal traffic pattern as depicted from the closed pull-up. We'll start this maneuver from the touch and go. Your power should be at max with your spinner on the horizon with your gear and flaps up. Once you have clearance for the closed traffic pattern, check that your PCL is at max. Use initially 45 to 60 degrees of bank for your closed pull-up. Make sure you maintain a minimum airspeed of 140 knots throughout the entire maneuver. One technique is to pull the nose up until the horizon is between the rudder pedals or your feet. You can lead your level off by retarding the PCL to about 20% torque or lighten the gear handle for every 100 feet below pattern altitude for every 10 knots in excess of 140 knots. You can also increase your bank to 90 degrees to affect the level off if your vertical speed is excessive. Cross-check your power and airspeed to make sure you maintain 140 to 150 knots to mid-fill. This diagram from the 248 shows you visual references as well as common pitch and power settings. As you get stabilized on inside downwind, use your wingtip to reference your displacement from the runway. Here we can imagine the fuel filler cap is on the runway. Here looks like our wingtip is on the runway, and this position is about halfway between. As you continue on inside downwind, make sure you configure your gear and flaps to be stable at the perch at a minimum 120 knots. A common technique is power, pitch, roll as you approach the perch. First, we're going to look back and verify that the runway is 45 degrees behind us. We're then going to set our power, we're going to pitch and roll 30 degrees of bank, no more than 45. Halfway through the turn, we're going to cross-check that our altitude should be 600 feet AGL for a 1,000-foot pattern. This allows you to intercept a final at a half mile at approximately 200 feet AGL. Once you're on final, your mnemonic is going to be aim point airspeed. We want to keep the threshold in our windscreen and our airspeed slowing to our final airspeed. As we approach the threshold, another technique is crack, shift, idle, flare. You'll crack your power back to high single digits, shift your aim point to the end of runway, smoothly pull the PCL back to idle, and then flare by applying backstick pressure at the same rate the aircraft settles toward the runway. Ultimately, you will achieve the same takeoff pitch picture that you had from the start. This concludes our discussion on the normal traffic pattern. Understand there are a lot of techniques involved, so talk to your local instructor.